Alright guys, quick video on how I set up my 15mm stack on the Red Panda. Rebuilding one today. And the first thing I do is take off the header connector that goes between your 4-in-1 and the flight controller. So we're going to remove this guy. I just use diagonal cutters to cut off the epoxy and then also rip off the connector. And I just do that pretty slowly. Alright. So the plastic header came off first, but the pins are still there. So I'm just going to go in and snip off the pins one at a time. And when I do this, I try not to pull the pins because you could pull the copper off the board. I don't think it really matters if you do that, but I try to cut the pins off and leave the solder joint intact. So it should look something like that when you're done cutting it off. And that one was pretty easy. Okay, so the orientation I dropped the 4-in-1 into the frame is like so. The power and ground point out to the left or the right side. I like to have it pointing out this direction, so my flight controller cables are pointing towards the front of the quad. You can have them pointing towards the back too, but there's not as much room with the VTX and receiver back here as well, but either direction will work. Alright, so I've got my 4 motors, my camera, and my VTX all wired up to power and ground on the 4-in-1. And on the flight controller side, I've also removed the header on the flight controller just by cutting off the pins. I left the plastic there because there's really no reason you need to rip off the entire connector. You just leave a little bit of that there. The SD card connector is taller than this, so you're not really constrained by leaving the plastic on there. These are the cables that come with the flight controller and the 4-in-1. I solder those up into this location so I get current sensor and voltage telemetry going from the 4-in-1 to the flight controller. And just connect this to the 2 headers on your 4-in-1 and you're good to go. And that'll fit in the 14mm stack if you're using appropriate size standoffs or the air mounts that come in the Red Panda frame. Alright, so I got everything assembled, connected all the wires, and put the flight controller in place. And you can see the stack is shorter than the 15mm standoffs. So, and FC is also soft mounted on the air mounts and can freely move around, even with the thin wires for the camera, VTX, and 4-in-1 wires to route underneath. Cool. So this is how I build my Red Panda. Hopefully this helps you guys out. I'm really enjoying the HobbyWing's stack. It's been really durable for me. I got my entire fleet built up using this hardware and have really had minimal issues. Alright, happy flying guys.